Steaks and chops can seem intimidating since they can be expensive, but actually they just need the simplest preparation and an understanding of the temperature and timing to be one of the best things off the grill. Pork chops are quick cooking and you can prep them ahead. They actually benefit from spending some time in a brine since they're so lean and they can dry out on the grill. Brining is really easy. It's just soaking the meat in a flavorful saltwater solution. The meat absorbs the salted liquid. Just 1 hour in the refrigerator creates much juicier and more flavorful meat. Once the chops are out of the brine, give them a quick rinse in cold water and then pat them dry. You want to always oil them before putting them on the grill. Just a little olive oil. Just a little salt and pepper. Remember, they were already seasoned. That brine is really gonna flavor them all the way down to the bone. I just rub that oil all over the surface. And then if you'd like, you can sprinkle them with a spice rub. I like to do a mixture of fresh herbs. I've got some rosemary and thyme here. I love that smell. Flip them over and do the same thing on the other side. I've already oiled my grates, and today I'm using a quick brick because I'm just grilling the chops. But if you're grilling some vegetables after the chops, you might want to go for an everyday brick. You want to cook the chops at 500 degrees to ensure that they cook evenly all the way through the bone without burning on the outside. Grill these for 4 to 5 minutes per side until the internal temperature reaches 145 degrees. Rest the chops for 5 to 10 minutes before serving. Okay, let's move on to a crowd favorite, steak on the grill. Today I'm using thick New York strip steaks, but no matter what cut you have, you want to lightly oil the steaks and season them really well with salt and pepper. You should be able to see the salt and pepper on top of the steak. That's gonna make a really big difference in terms of flavor. Whenever you're seasoning, you wanna go high. This is gonna give you a more even distribution of salt. And also, if you've got a thick cut like this, don't forget to season the edges. Then let them come to room temperature before grilling at least 30 minutes. That's also going to allow some of that seasoning to penetrate into the meat. So I'm gonna insert the probes, and that way I can monitor the temperature right from the Spark app. So you wanna put them in lengthwise, and you're aiming for them to be right in the middle of the meat, kind of like right in the center. And this is gonna give you a really accurate reading, and it kind of makes it foolproof. Perfect. Today I'm using an everyday brick. Usually if you're grilling steaks, you're grilling something alongside like veggies or potatoes. And I've preheated my grill to 600 degrees. This is the same temperature you're gonna use for most boneless cuts of steak. Flank steak, skirt steak, filet mignon. Just the timing will be a little bit different. I'm gonna arrange the steaks right on the grill. Since this is a fattier cut of meat and I oiled the steaks, you really don't even need to oil the grates. Close the lid, let them do their thing. They'll take about 4 to 5 minutes aside. Whenever you're cooking fattier cuts of meat, you want to arrange them over the heat spreader to avoid flare-ups. This is how you get the most consistent, even heat. If you wanted that flame broiled flavor, you could remove the heat spreader to create a more direct flame in the center, but that's a little more advanced. So today we're gonna keep things simple and we're leaving that heat spreader in. The internal temperature on your Spark app should read 125 to 130 degrees for medium rare. And you can see one of the added benefits of using the Spark grill is you get all that extra caramelization from those thick cast iron grates. Now, don't forget to let your steaks rest for 5 to 10 minutes before serving. For a special occasion, nothing beats a bone-in steak. It's a great way to feed a few people. It makes for an impressive centerpiece, and not to mention you get all that flavor around the bone. Now, there's a slightly different technique for cooking bone-in steaks, but it's easier than you might think. Instead of cooking the steak at 600 degrees like we did for the boneless cuts, reduce the temperature to 550 degrees. This will allow the steak to cook through to the bone without burning on the outside. I've inserted my Spark probe right into the center of the meat. You just want to be sure that you don't touch the bone. So my grill's at 550. I've oiled the grill grates. Today I'm using an everyday brick, but you could use a quick brick for this preparation as well. I'm going to position the steak right over the heat spreader. That's going to prevent any flare-ups and give you a really consistent heat. Cook for 5 minutes on the first side until you get nice grill marks. Turn it once and cook until you get grill marks on the other side and it's nicely caramelized all over, about 5 minutes longer for medium rare. The internal temperature on your Spark app should read 125 to 130 degrees for medium rare. Be sure to let the steak rest for 5 to 10 minutes before slicing. So here's where you can get a little fancy and take it up a notch when you're ready. For those flame-broiled steakhouse results, you can remove the heat spreader. This creates zones, so you can sear over the hot heat of the exposed brick and then move the steak to the perimeter where it's cooler to finish cooking through. But to start, it's great to master the steak with the even, controllable heat of the Spark with the heat spreader in. Grilled steaks are incredible all on their own, but one of my favorite ways to dress them up for a special occasion is to top them with a garlic herb butter. The garlicky butter is a cinch to make and slowly melts into the meat, providing even more richness. This steak can easily serve 2 to 3 people, so if you're doing that, you're gonna wanna remove it from the bone. Here's how. Cut along the bone as closely as you can to remove the meat. Then simply slice the steak against the grain. Never be intimidated by grilling steaks again. The Spark's even, high temperatures make it easy to master a restaurant-worthy steak dinner.